First of all, good for you for taking this on. What a project. You mentioned Documentary Organization of Canada. I want to get to that in a minute. I want to talk a little bit about the journey. You know, you moved to Canada in 1989. You worked for the NFB in Montreal. Then you moved out to Victoria around 2000, I think. So you're no stranger kind of to documentary across Canada, more or less. But you're literally going province to province, community to community on this trip, get on the doc bus. I know this is a loaded question for a short interview, but you know, what are the trends you've been seeing? What are some stories you've heard that really stand out? What are people saying that's really, you know, standing out to you on your journey?
Well, the theme that emerges over and over is that the organizations that are successful, the key is get to know your community. And that, to me, is the answer I was hoping to find, because I see documentary as a community building tool. And that's what Open Cinema's mission has been, is using cinema, film as a tool for community engagement. And we've found that that's working in Victoria. And so I'm so thrilled that whenever I, you know, without leading the question, ask festivals like Yorkton in a town in Saskatchewan, much like many, many other towns in Saskatchewan that do not have a festival of any kind, that, you know, Yorkton is the oldest film festival in North America. 66 years this year. Yeah. So it's like, well, what is it that makes a festival in a little town, much like many others in Saskatchewan, rural Saskatchewan, work? Get to know your community. And the same, I met with Reframe in Peterborough. They're doing amazing work developing sponsorships, partnerships, community partnerships that are then sort of taking off beyond the film festival and helping organizations come together, see that they have shared values, and develop further collaborations outside of film festivals. And that really excites me, because I love the idea that we can start to develop documentary and film in general and media in general as a community building tool and scale it up using the online. So that's one story that I'm hearing. And the other is that documentary is a real leveler. Is in as much as it's actually a very niche genre in many ways, it's also, on a community level, a way to engage a broad cross-section of the community, because it's about so many different issues. And it's really, in my experience, and also in the experience of the people I'm talking to, the audience that comes to documentary is as much, if not more so, related to the topic as to a love of the genre. And so that actually means that documentary can reach many, many people. And I think that there's a sense in which we're just at the cusp of identifying what it is that makes documentary both unique and ultimately very different than the Hollywood film, and so that we're not measuring it as in the same way. I mean, this is my hope. I don't know that that's quite there yet, but I feel like we're at the cusp of being able to start to quantify and promote documentary as something quite different than the Hollywood film. Right. And, you know, I feel like the way that we screen documentaries needs to be also thought of differently. The Row Theatre is, as we know, designed for Hollywood, by Hollywood, for Hollywood, for a passive viewing experience, for something that's essentially entertainment and you know, good. I mean, I'm no value judgment, but documentary is a different animal. Right. It asks the audience to think, to engage, to often take action, and it's often about difficult issues. So what we've been doing with Open Cinema is developing a cafe-style venue that allows people to eat and drink, feel sustained.
I loved reading about that, by the way. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So I'm actually surprised that there isn't more of that. And so it's not that I'm hearing that story across the country, but as I'm going across the country and talking about what do you think about framing documentary in a cafe-style venue that allows for networking as soon as people come in, changes the dynamic of the event, people are sort of very interested in that. And, I'm now starting to meet with some of the key decision makers in Toronto, in Montreal, in Ottawa, and there is a growing interest in both the cafe style and the hybrid engagement, the hybrid event model.